There are so many belts in the martial arts, so many colors. People have stripes. They've got stripes that go vertically and horizontally, and 2 stripes, 1 stripe, stripes of tape, every color you could think of, including camouflage and other versions of camouflage. But everybody knows about the black belt. So what is it? What does it mean? Hey, what's up? I'm Ken's kenfuTV, and each week I release videos in the martial arts, philosophy, technique, training, that sort of thing. If that's the kind of thing you're into, I hope that you subscribe. I hope that you drop a comment down below and start a conversation. And I hope that you like this video if it has some value to you. I hope you share it if you think somebody should see it. Hey, Ken from the future. Just realized that it is now, this video is releasing at just about the 1-year anniversary of this channel. So that's pretty awesome. Can't believe it's already been a year. This has been super awesome, super great. Got to meet so many cool people, so many cool experiences. I'm just thankful for all of you guys. And so for a while now, I've had an idea for a t-shirt slogan thing that I wanted to do. And so in celebration, there's a new shirt out today. Check this thing out. I literally just made it, so I don't have one in hand, but this is what it looks like. It's dropping today. You can go get them right now. That'd be a really cool way for you guys to continue to support the channel. If you like what I'm doing here and want to continue, any money that I made, when you look at the description, anything that puts money into the channel is going directly funneled back into the channel. I've got some really exciting things that I want to try to do this upcoming year and in future years, and I've got so many ideas, so many things. So anything that comes in from that is getting funneled directly towards that, and really looking forward to doing some cool stuff with you guys for many years to come. Thank you a million for being here, for liking this stuff, for sharing it, for subscribing, for doing all of that. And now let's jump back into what it means to be a black belt. So let's talk about the black belt. Now, if you are even remotely familiar with the martial arts, then you probably know there are belts that are beyond black, and we're not really talking about those. Those have their own purpose and their own function, and if you want, we can talk about that at a different time. But right now, we're talking about the black belt. Most arts have a series of colored belts leading up to the black belt. The colors change and move around, and you can't exactly trust that, because one person's yellow belt might be somebody else's brown belt, and who knows. But it's pretty universal that the black belt is the one that defines what people usually think of as an expert or a master or some kind of thing. I don't agree with that. Those aren't my words. But that's the mark. That's the benchmark that says, okay, this person, they know their stuff. And no matter the art, whether they only have white belts and black belts, or they have all these colored belts, or they have all this different stuff, black belt, for some reason, never really moves around. It's just known as this one. And I've got another video on belts that kind of talks about my feelings about belts and belt colors and all of that. But today I want to talk about what is a black belt. And I don't mean what makes up the cotton, silk, fabric, whatever material is in the black belt, but what makes a black belt person, a black belt student. What is it? And what defines it? Everybody's going to have different ideas of what you should know, what the curriculum entailed, what your test is going to look like, all of that. And I teach multiple martial arts, and the different martial arts are going to have different contexts of what has to be known to be eligible for testing, including how much time needs to go by. Some places have very specific requirements of how much time should pass before you're even eligible, how old you should be. Should you be, at least 18? Is that not really a consideration? All of that depends on the art. Here's what I look for. Here's what it means to me. The curriculum changes. If you train long enough, what you did when you first started and what you do later might not be the same, especially if you're in a very alive art, something where your school is continuing to grow as new knowledge comes out and new testing and new training and more people are involved and the understanding of the art grows. Then what you do may change, and you might not train the way you did when you first started years later. So the curriculum is kind of secondary. Instead, it's the development of the person. I believe very strongly that what a black belt is somebody who's capable of persevering, somebody that is capable of being confident in the face of adversity, somebody who's able to be humble and realize that there's more to be learned, and things can be learned both above you and below you, and everybody has something to teach you, and not just on the mat, but in life. Caring and consideration, a specific lack of ego. These are things that I find to be really important in a person's character. You can develop a lot of technique. In fact, the ranks leading up to black belt, the couple right before that, tend to be strongly focused in power development and combative ability. That's one of those stages that has to be gone through where you're honing that and you're working hard and you're pushing all of that. In fact, a lot of times I know that for us, it builds up until you almost lose control, and then you kind of bring that back. So you're allowed this opportunity to hit harder and train faster, do all of these things that you then learn to hone and refine and pull back in. I think of it like focusing a camera. It's out of focus. It comes past in focus to out of focus again, and then you drop back to in between where it was actually right on focus. And that's what your training's like. First, you don't have enough. Then you overshoot when it comes to combative ability, and then you refine so that you actually have an understanding of what is too much, what is too little, and what is the right amount of what you should do in whatever that situation is. This lesson of the balance and not overshooting or undershooting applies to life. How you approach people, how you escalate or de-escalate a situation, and how you communicate. Follow that same line. Learning how to be someone who can find that balance is an important part of the process. And yeah, you should know a certain amount of combative skills. You should know a certain amount of knowledge and cultural understanding of what's going on in your art. But what you really should be is somebody who realizes that the skill that they've developed was a gift. The time that it took was the effort, and that the ego attached to how far you've made it needs to be let go, because there will be people who are further than you, who know more than you, who are better than you. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just part of being on this planet, being born when you were born and dying when you die, the whole scope and everybody moving along next to each other. Nobody is moving just exactly where you are, and there's going to be times where these things change. The ability to develop power, the ability to hit hard or get angry, let's talk about that. That was one conversation I had with somebody where when they got angry, they were able to perform. And somebody said, that's a black belt. And I don't agree with that, because what that showed is that the only time that they could do their art, their skill, was when they lost control, which meant they didn't have the ability to control it. They didn't have the ability to find that line and dial it in. Instead, they would just overshoot and do more because they could only do it when they were emotional about it. And that's not, in my opinion, that's not a black belt. A black belt has the ability to understand a situation, be aware of the situation, and put logic and tactic into what's happening to determine what needs to take place and making those adjustments. And ideally, they should be someone who is fluid, who can recognize changes in the situation while those changes are being made and adapt to them and make your own changes in that moment, and in the subsequent moment, and the moment after that. And that comes from experience, that comes from time, that comes from a long time of being able to experience these moments and understand how they work and how they flow and make those adjustments to them. It doesn't just happen. And it's not automatic. There's no certain amount of curriculum that just makes that happen. That's something that's personal. And when that develops in a person, it happens at its own time when it needs to. So being able to hit hard, being able to knock somebody out, being able to do all these things, these are secondary, because unless your line of work involves doing exactly that, what good is that? What good is that to the students that you may teach later after you get a black belt? And let's clear something up. Most arts, getting a black belt does not make you a teacher. There are multiple black belts, and usually you have to be a black belt for a while. Most arts, it's your third black belt before you're able to teach or open a school or do anything like that, because they know that you haven't learned everything yet. You've basically done your basic competency. You've scored well on your SATs, and you're ready to go to college and try to apply yourself and learn something. Your basic knowledge is in place. Your understanding is ready. And now you need to start applying it and learning and combining it into something more. So it takes time to do that. And as you do that, then later you can teach. If you do, then if you're the person who just is good at knocking people out and you can't actually convey skill or teach ability, then it's very limited. Subsequently, knowing a lot of things, just because you know all of the curriculum, you could memorize every form, every technique, and you could talk about it. If you can't do it, if you can't execute the skill, but you could sit and nitpick people to death about why they're not doing it right, but you can't stand up and do it yourself, then you're not there. Now, that is taking aside any amount of physical inability. Obviously, if the technique requires 2 arms and I lost an arm or was born without one, then maybe I can't do that exact technique, and I can work with somebody, and I can, if I understand it, I could possibly get somebody else to demonstrate it and have that work. And I can know if it's right or not right, but I can't do it, and that's different. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you. There's nothing that says that you shouldn't be able to do it, except for you haven't applied yourself and become capable of doing it. If you haven't done that, you're not ready. Memorizing 1,000 things, knowing 15 katas and 1,000 techniques and all of the right words and sayings and all of that, all the terminology, does not make you a skilled person of good character. And I guess at the end of the day, that's what I mean when I see a black belt, as I see a skilled person of good character, someone who has the skill and ability, and there's no question. You know a black belt when you work with one, regardless of what color is around their waist. You can feel when somebody moves the way, like Mark Makita said, "Touch hands with me and you'll know who I am," and I love that. I tell students we don't have colored rank in our school, so I tell people, like, you'll know rank on the mat. Doesn't matter what your belt says, you'll know it on the mat. And then the good character that actually controls and tempers that skill, tempers that ability, tempers the sheer violence you've learned, and makes it into something that is inside of a person who's humble, inside of a person who's capable of lifting up others, who's capable of leadership, who's capable of cultivating skill and confidence out of somebody else. To me, these are the things that make a black belt. And no matter how good you are at a skill, I don't know, one of the arts that I train has 2 different rankings. The one ranking is a combative only ranking, and one ranking is a combative and teaching ranking. And the teaching ranking includes all of the combative stuff, but it applies to people who also have gone far enough to invest the time to teach and understand the skill of teaching as well. So you get the people who are only good at fighting but can't really pass the art to other people very well, and you get the people who are good at the skill of fighting and can pass the art. Sometimes that means the teaching side is people who are better at teaching than they are fighting, and that's natural. People who are really good at the fighting and only do the fighting are probably going to be the best at the fighting. But they don't have the whole, and the 2 pieces need to come together, in my opinion. You've got to have it. The art dies if you're just a person who's skillful, but it never goes to anybody else. Then when you die, it's gone. So for an art, the belt represents the art. It represents your investment in yourself and in this art. So why would you want to just let it drift off? And you should want to teach it. You should want to share it. You should want to pass it on, and you should want to further it and grow it as well. At the end of the day, a black belt is a person. It's about who you are, not what you know. What you know changes, and what the person knows next to you will be different, but you could be equivalent rank. But who you are, and how you apply what you know, and how you remove ego and apply humility to what you know, and how you care for the people around you, and how you appreciate the seriousness of the skill that you possess, and how you know the time and place to use it, and how to use it, and how to control it, and how much to use. These are the attributes of a black belt. I don't know, what do you think? Drop in the comments, make reaction videos, tell me what you think is a black belt, what makes a black belt. For any of my students that have watched this, you now know, you probably already know. If you've been around me, we talk about stuff like this, and you know that that's what I want from you, so you probably already know, but now you know. Now there's a video that shows exactly, if you're ever in doubt, why haven't I got there yet? It might not be the skill, it might just be the development of you That takes time. You curate what happens, right? You've got to water it, you've got to trim it, you've got to do all that stuff to build that perfect tree. That was maybe a weird analogy. I had a bonsai in my head, so maybe you're thinking about that. If you did, awesome. Then we're on the same wavelength. You can hashtag bonsai black belt down in the comments to say that, yeah, you nailed it. If you didn't, hopefully whatever popped in your head when I said trim it and water it matched and was appropriate. Shame on you if it wasn't. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it here. What's a black belt? Tell me what it is. Tell me what you think about what I had to say. If you like this stuff, you want to subscribe, you can hit that right here. I've got a list of videos like this right here, and a couple videos that you might personally like right here. I'm Ken. This is kenfuTV, and now you know how to be a black belt.